I feel like the best thing the Olympics does is really just let us know human limits. Does that make any sense? Meaning, hey, who's the fastest guy or girl? Oh, that's the world record? Can't get faster than that. The Olympics, all it's doing is giving us the limits of what a human could do.
Right now, because we evolve and we always seem to surpass that limit.
But what I'm saying is when you see 8 swimmers from across the world, Germany, United States, Canada, Mexico, you name it, Russia, and they all are within like a second of each other, aren't you sort of defining like, yo, this is the fastest someone could go? That's it. And then you're right, as time goes on, you gain a second or half a second. But all the Olympics really does, maybe this is a high thought. I was like, man, we're testing the human limits.
Really testing the human limits?
Because really, it is the limits. Like, what's the oldest a human could live? You're really just going to take, well, there's about a handful of people that do live into their 100 and teens, and that's it. That is the limit. You're not going to live longer than that. The Olympics are just sort of telling you, hey, here's the fastest a guy could run. No one could really run faster, because if they could, you'd see it.
There's always exceptions, man. There's always somebody that defies the odds or something. So these may be the averages where we're sort of at, where everybody's kind of at the moment, but somebody's going to break them.
There's going to be
somebody's breaking them eventually, for sure.
There's going to be people that just are ahead of the pack, and they are oddly unique, like a Michael Phelps that just smoked everyone. But the reality is, if you have 20 people around the world, I don't know, running a mile, and the fastest people around the world are all within seconds of each other, you've decided that is the limit. Human limits.
Okay. I don't want to say whatever.
Right.
But
maybe it was the edibles. All right, secondly.
It's okay. I'm watching the Olympics thinking weird things too, like 3-on-3 men's basketball. Since when? Are they 3-on-3 specialists? Who are these jabronis? Brad, Tad, and Chad representing the U.S.?
Meanwhile, Tatum can't get some minutes.
So I have my dumb thoughts too, Rich. It's all good.
And then I have other dumb thoughts as we watch Behind Spot on the TV here in the studio. Fencing. My question is, when does someone dedicate their life to fencing? Like, is it high school? You're like,
when they suck at Little League.
I want to get a scholarship. My best route is fencing. And then you work your way all the way up to the Olympics? Like, honestly, fencing right now.
It's you grow up in Middle Earth somewhere. Where does Game of Thrones take place? I don't know.
Give me a territory, Westeros?
Yeah, when you grow up in that area, I think that's sort of what you pick up.
But when you see these people fencing at the Olympics, don't worry, this dumb thought will be over in 30 seconds. Isn't there a part of you that wonders, how did this person decide? That's the path.
See, that's the beauty of our show, guys. We're brave enough to give you our dumbest internal thoughts.
I feel like fencing's an easy one, though. Like, every kid loves swinging around a sword.
That is true.
I think it's more like, how do you get into, like, canoe slalom? How do you get into discus?
I think you find what you suck at. It's my Little League theory, our Little League theory that I've been sharing for years. That's the beauty of, it doesn't have to be Little League. It could be any pee-wee little kid sport. You realize you're either good or you're not, but it still is useful in your life, because if you realize you're not good, it forces you to find out what you're good at.
True.
So if you realize you suck at Little League, you're going to find something else, whether it be in the arts or whether it be in fencing or anything else that you could prosper at.
Perfett's right. Fencing is an example where every little kid has a plastic sword and he's like playing around. One of those kids is like, well, I think I have a knack for this.
Is that what this is? You're testing out if you have a knack for radio?
I hope 20 years later.
If it's I hope, that's all.
And to be fair, where do you find all these fencing teams? You kind of associated with, like, hoity-toity Ivy Leagues and elite universities and stuff. So, like, I totally get that through line for it. For some of these other sports, it feels like you got to start at, like, you got to have a parent pushing you into this at, like 6 or 7 years old.
I know it's not the Summer Games, but, like, luge. Like,
who
decides? Who decides? Like,
Seinfeld does a whole bit on that. Seinfeld on his comedy special, I'm telling you for the last time, does a whole thing. He's like, it's the only Olympic sport where someone could participate involuntarily. Like you could just pick some dude off the street and be like, I guess you're going down to whoa, bronze medal. You know what I mean? Like Seinfeld does a whole thing on that, which is really fun.
There's one thing in your life, and you're singularly devoted to it for like 10 years.
We could be master fencers. We've just never picked up a fencing.
I think what we're getting at is when we're watching these events, it just inspires deep thought. I think that's really what it comes down to.
It does, and I saw a meme that I think is fantastic. It said, every Olympic event should have one amateur participate for perspective.
I'd love to see you guys get demolished in table tennis.
Oh my God!
You guys up against. I think there was a video out about Anthony Edwards. He's apparently going to the table tennis events, and he's like was on the bus or something, like talking with one of the USA table tennis women. Is like, yeah, I could beat you at ping pong. I could totally do that. I do not think you get a single point.
Jason Kelsey arm wrestled the women rugby players, and he won, but just a little bit.
That's a dumb meme.
His wife said he cheated.
That's your bronze medalist, first time in history, Team USA rugby players too.
It sounds like a dumb meme Rich just read, but it is true. For perspective reasons, it would make things a lot more clear.
You know that radio guy that loves you so much, Petros?
Yeah,
Petros
and Money. They both love me.
He used to host that show, Pros versus Joes, and that was always a great show on perspective. Like, how would you stack up against a retired athlete if you put some jabroni, as you said, in lane 8, and you're like, and go? They'd be doing multiple laps swimming, and that guy, he'd still be going,
without a doubt.
Like,
I mean, look, these are the elite. We know that.
You've seen NFL reporters run the 40 on the sideline. The famous Rich Eisen one, right?
My friend Jeremy participates every year. Detroit Lions at training camp have a press group combine where everyone competes against each other.
It's probably fun for the Lions players, too, to be like, all these guys reporting on us. What do they know?
Swimming, you have an idea or an understanding. I think those things apply really for something like fencing. Like, you don't know how good that person is. You've never done it. So what is your
javelin?
What's your assessment based on? Exactly.
You might be like Lamar from Revenge of the Nerds with javelin.
My assessment is basically on how fast like these hits come in like milliseconds apart. Like it's just the fast twitch, and it's like with table tennis too. Like they're going so fast. I just have to sit back. I'm like, all right, you're good at this.
Javelin.
Like,
it goes so fast. Who said javelin?
I did.
Spot.
Thank you.
Who's to say Randy Johnson in his prime? The big unit, 6'10". Stop! Don't stop in your tracks.
No, it's more of an overhead. It would have to be like a quarterback.
Get out of town.
Because you're launching the javelin.
I think I'm with him on this. Yeah.
All right, John Elway.
John Elway.
You're telling me
he said his biggest regret was not drafting Josh Allen today. Maybe his biggest regret was not picking up the javelin.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
What if John Elway with that rocket arm?
So what's the biggest gunslinger quarterback we can think of?
Maybe
Warren Moon.
No, like an Elway, Dan Marino.
Jeff George in the javelin would be
like Jeff George.
Heaven.
Who's to say he may smoke everyone? Which sort of ties back to my original thing. There's certain things that are definitive. Like, hey, this is the fastest guy. This is the fastest swimmer. Because there's no way someone else would beat them. Now, if you took a Jeff George, I'm sticking with Randy Johnson. He's 6'10", beast in his prime. You don't think he can throw anything further than anyone else?
Jamarcus Russell throwing it on his knees.
I mean...
Look at all the thoughts that are inspired.
I mean, to be fair, we did kind of have something like this tried. It was in track and field. It was in running. But like Javid Best, who had to stop playing football because of a concussion, he did try doing Olympic qualification for one of the track events.
And Tyreek Hill isn't that far off Olympians.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does prove the point. But, hey, enjoy the Olympics.
You know why this happens, though, Rich? Seriously. You know, we're establishing something without even trying. When you're watching baseball, watching football, you have an understanding you're watching the game. When you're watching this, your mind wanders because you're like, fencing, huh? Interesting.
But I feel like those understandings come from us watching it like every day for like 10 plus years of our lives. If you replace all the football in your life with fencing, I think you'd probably have that. But
there's also a sense of I know the path. If Covino's watching the Yankees and Jazz Chisholm using A-Rod, Aaron Judge's bat,
he's got A-Rod's number.
Maybe that's why I subconsciously thought that.
Sure.
I was like, ooh, they gave him
a nice save by me.
They gave him 13, huh?
Yes.
I did see that. You watch baseball every day. You know the path. You play high school, you're good. You play in the minors or college. You move your way up, you get there. You're right. You watch fencing or javelin, you're like, what's the path here? Did you get a college
Academies.
scholarship and then you just
don't
kept
know
it with it?
any of the people unless you're some crazy sort of a Olympics fanatic
Yeah.
or fencing fan. So
and then you
of
ask
course,
yourself,
your
how
mind's gonna
far
wander.
off? How far off is a hottie like Livy Dunn from Simone Biles? Is it night and day, or is like Livy Dunn good but not that good? Like I don't even know.
Like, you know that scene in Greece where Danny Zuko wants to figure out something sports-wise?
Yeah.
So he tries out all the sports.
Yeah.
You realize he's not good on a team sport.
He was good at basketball.
He's not
though.
good at. I mean, he was pretty good at basketball, but he hit everybody.
Zuko was playing handball when he was playing basketball.
But eventually, he realized he was great at running.
Yeah.
So he long distance running,
Until he
cross
tripped.
country running until he tripped.
Until he tripped.
But
checking
maybe
out
that's
Sandy.
maybe that's what they do. They're athletic. They figured out, all right, this sport doesn't work. This sport doesn't work. All right, I'll fence. That's athletic.
It's pretty amazing, though. He did all that while being a smoker in high school.
Right.
You know, like it
And
really
he lettered
was.
in track. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
and
Seriously.
he had his sweatpants pulled up to his nipples.
That's the one movie you've seen, Dan.
You know what's interesting?
There are a few more, but yeah, I'm pretty well versed in Greece.
We
Yes.
always hear about Dave Winfield and how Dave Winfield could have went pro in any sport. Like he was just a beast.
He was drafted in baseball, basketball, and football.
You recently seen? Did you see that stat where it's like Russell Wilson was drafted higher than Aaron Judge, and there was like a list of people that Russell Wilson was drafted higher than?
Mm-hmm.
You know who's on that list too? Doesn't get enough credit. Apparently, Joe Mauer had options like basketball, baseball, football. Joe Mauer is in that category too.
Well, you mentioned John Elway. He was going to play for the Yankees.
If you watch that 30 for 30, Elway to Marino,
Yeah.
you realize that John Elway was slated to be in the Yankees lineup
With
had
Don
he,
Mattingly.
had he not chosen to stay in the NFL.
True story. So, again, we understand those paths. These Olympic paths, something as simple as the 3-on-3 men's basketball, too. Like, how did that happen? And are they 3-on-3 specialists? I really don't know. We should know, but I don't know. Because we focus on the 4 major sports: baseball, basketball, football, and hot dog eating.
Why
what
is
we
that
do
in the
here.
Olympics?
That's what we do on the Covino and Rich show.
I did do crew in high school, which is like rowing. It's not Olympic rowing, but and I'm racking my brain here a bit. And I think all it really was is just it's someone tapping me on the shoulder. It's something is like my mom's like, you need something to do in high school. You need something. You need to join a team.
Right.
And someone taps you on the shoulder. It's like, well, you want to do rowing? I'm like, sure. That sounds
Isn't rowing
fun.
usually?
I
No offense
guess.
for Fed. Isn't rowing usually like 6'2", 3 big?
I didn't
big
say I
skinny
was
dudes.
good at it. I didn't say I was good at it. No, that is the don't make fun of the word. That's the coxswain yelling stroke.
Yeah.
And that's usually the smallest guy out there who's not good enough to actually pull an oar.
Was that you?
No, I actually pulled an oar.
Here's what I always find interesting about that. Like, I grew up in an area where like lacrosse does not exist.
Right.
Right.
So in high schools, like, how many other schools also have a crew team? You know, like in the area, like, did all the schools in that
No.
area?
No.
Yeah, no,
It's very funny
so
you say that.
random. Like,
DB, because I grew up with no lacrosse as well.
Hockey either. There was no,
No hockey. I
My
grew up-
sister did field hockey.
Spot and I grew up in New Jersey. We had none of that. And I said recently, I didn't even know what pickleball was until a few years ago. And Iowa Sam was like, I played pickleball in high school gym. So it's all regional.
Of course he
It's
did.
all how you were raised, who you were raised by, who tapped you on the shoulder, like Profet said. And, everybody has their own path.
Just to play stat boy. No lacrosse. I grew up on Long Island, New York. Lacrosse,
Lacrosse Central.
huge.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dude, every guy I know
It is now.
that played high school lacrosse, my buddy Paul, scholarship to Notre Dame. My other buddy went to Duke. Other guy went to Syracuse. If you played high school lacrosse on Long Island and you were good, you got a
John
scholarship.
Hopkins is knocking down your door.
Yeah, it's wild. My buddy Paul, who you guys know, what is Paul, 5'10", like athletic guy, but scholarship, full ride to Notre Dame.
Amazing. Yeah.
So
good
it's
for
like,
him.
you realize quickly that regional stuff like that, and I guess that's how some of these Olympians get here. The end. Now you're watching these women play table tennis, ping pong. You
Yeah.
think you got a shot or what?
Hell no.
Okay.
And again, they found what they were good at. They
fast they
found
are.
something that they excelled in, and that's a blessing because not everybody always finds that, right? Hey, for all I know, I could have been a great lacrosse player, but I never had the chance. I didn't know. Never had that opportunity. They found their niche. They figured out that they were good at this, and they took it to the Olympics, and it's amazing to see.